Everyone. So I know I've teased getting my channel up and going for a while, but someone finally pushed me over the edge today. So I thought I'd just jump on here real quick and set some things straight. So let's go. So first, real quick, we'll just do a really fast Pukwudgie 101 for anyone that doesn't know. So Pukwudgie is an Ojibwa term. It is used by a lot of Algonquian tribes, Algonquin-speaking tribes. They're in the Northeast United States, the Great Lakes region, in southern Canada, Southeast Canada, and it is their term for little people. Every culture around the world has different little people lore. This is just specific to this area, and there are other names and other lore involving different little people in the area. But Pukwudgie specifically are said to be between 2 and 4 feet tall. Usually you hear around 2 to 3 feet though, and they have smooth gray skin and exaggerated features. A lot of the times you hear they have a chipmunk like face. And what's kind of specific to them as opposed to other little people lore in different areas is they have porcupine-like quills on their head and backs. And in most lore in most tribes, they are tricksters, little mischief makers. So they'll do things like hide your keys or shape shift into mosquitoes to ruin your cookout, things like that. In Wampanoag lore, which is southeast Massachusetts, it's also where the Bridgewater Triangle is, if you're familiar with that. They're known to be dangerous and murderous even. Um, that's what I take issue with. There is also a lot of talk of the Bridgewater Triangle being created by a Native American curse because of King Philip's War, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. Kind of both of those things. But the reason that specifically for the Wampanoag tribe that people think that they're evil and dangerous is this book. It's The Narrow Land by Elizabeth Reynard. It was written in 1934, and it's about the lore in the Cape Cod area. And when she was writing the book, she interviewed Chief Red Shell from the Wampanoag tribe. And he told this story about the Pukwudgies and Mauship, who was kind of a creator in their beliefs, and he was a giant also. So there's great stories about Mauship, how he created Nantucket with the ash from his pipe, and all these great stories you can look into. But the one specific to Pukwudgies is that once upon a time, the Pukwudgies and the Wampanoag people lived side by side in harmony and they got along. And then when Mauship moved in, they became jealous because the Wampanoag people were paying more attention to him. So just like a little kid would start to cause trouble if they wanted attention, it's exactly what the Pukwudgies did. They kind of ramped up their pranks, and the Wampanoag people got annoyed. So just like you would today, if you had a problem, you would go to the wife because people have always been the same forever. So they went to Mauship's wife, who was named Granny Squannet, or in this book, she's actually called Quant. And they said, "You got to get your husband to get rid of these little annoying people. They're driving us insane." So she went to Mauship, and what Mauship decided to do was go into the woods, gather them all up, shake them to disorient them, and then throw them as far as he could. And that's also an explanation of why there are Pukwudgies in other areas too. So the Pukwudgies that survived this, once they kind of came to, some of them made their way back and they were mad. and they started doing things like kidnapping children, murdering people. But what they also did was they killed Maushup's 5 sons. And because of this, Maushup was so devastated that he unalived himself. So obviously that is devastating for the Wampanoag people as well. Their creator left them essentially. The problem with taking this as a basis for calling them evil and saying that they're angry at humans is that Bradshaw was actually making an analogy. He was not talking about Pukwudgies. He was talking about what the white Europeans did to the Wampanoag tribe. If you don't know about King Philip's War, there are some great videos on YouTube about it. I can't do it justice in this video. You should definitely look into it because in elementary school, they tell you, like, the Pilgrims came here, there was the first Thanksgiving, and everyone was happy and great, and they skip what actually happened, so I do think that's important for all of us to understand, but what people have done with that is use that as an explanation of why this area is so strange. So the story is that during King Philip's War, a wampum belt that was sacred to the tribe was stolen from Chief Anawan. And the story of Chief Anawan is absolutely horrible what happened to him. And I would not blame anyone who did put a curse on us or the area because of what happened there. But if you look into the history of the area, things were weird before that happened. The kind of heart of the Bridgewater Triangle is called Hockomock Swamp. Hockomock means the place where the spirits dwell. And the stories of these high strangeness events start before Europeans even were in the area. It's not about us. Like, this place was weird long before we were in the picture. It was a sacred place. They buried their dead there. And it was where they said Hobomok lived, and that was their, like, deity of death and disease. But they didn't look at that as an evil thing like Europeans would. They looked at that as like a necessary thing. There have been bodies pulled or found out and removed from there that were 8,000 years old. It's been a burial ground for a long time. And traditionally, people that are more connected to the land will bury their dead in places where it is easier to cross back and forth. It is also impossible to put human morality on something that isn't human. So even if they were dangerous to humans, if you don't call a bear evil if it attacks someone, it is defending itself, it's defending its cubs. It is not using human morality at all. It is not evil for doing that. But the other part of it is, and I just want to kind of end on this note, in across the world, in other areas, but also in this area, the little people lore is always that they are only dangerous if you bother them. So if you are scared and believe they are dangerous, that would mean that you intend to bother them. So maybe just leave the little people alone. And that extends to 5 foot tall women at gas stations too. So thanks everyone for listening. I just had to get that off my chest today. I will see you guys all soon, promise.